Hello and welcome everyone to the 5th episode of the Road to Early Access, where we take you kind of behind the scenes of Moonfrost's kind of development in between closed alphas and into kind of early access, kind of phase 1, and what that means for us. So today we've got a really like a special guest as well. So I've kept them secret the whole time. Most of these kind of episode series is either myself, we bring on the founders, but I really want to start showcasing the other developers of Moonfrost and the other builders. So without further ado, special guest, we will jump you on stage and you can introduce yourself.
Hello. I'm Nuno Gonçalves. I'm one of the senior software engineers here at Oxalis and Moonfrost. I hope everyone is doing all right. Personally, I'm a game developer for 8+ years and been at Oxalis for 2.5 years. So here for a few years already.
Yeah, no, it's been really fun working with you throughout that whole time as well. And one of the like big features you want to speak about is one of the things kind of you were kind of one of the core people creating as well. So that's going to be super cool. But like, before we jump into like game dev stuff, what's like one unique fact about you?
I guess that's that I play volleyball in my free time, so you can say like I'm a volleyball head. It's some people here to play volleyball, but they're not convinced to do it yet.
I like it. I haven't played volleyball competitively, so I'll definitely have to give it a go sometime. Cool. And yeah, hello everyone jumping in the audience. We've got a few people coming on YouTube. Toy, Kia, Tasari. So lovely to see you. If you have any questions throughout, so this this is very like informal. This is literally just kind of bringing Nuno on, telling us what kind of he does, asking any questions you want to ask. We have got like a structured AMA at the end of the kind of towards the end of the live stream. But if you have any question, please pop them in chat. We probably have periods throughout the live stream where we'll actually talk about it. And then after we've spoke with Nuno directly, we're going to kind of like game dev updates. So what's it Moonfrost early access looking like? Is there any new features being progressed since the last 2 weeks? And we go from there really. So I'm really excited. Hey CJ, GM. So we'll jump straight in. So build mode, Nuno. Can you tell us more about this feature and how it's so unique for Moonfrost and what we're building?
Yeah, so I thought we were just going to do like an overview of how like our maps and how our build modes works. And without further ado, so one thing to keep in mind in this presentation is that we have three main components on our maps, which is the terrain, the decorations, which is all the items you can put in, and the buildings themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with terrain. So our maps work on a grid system, and the grid is made up of terrain tiles. And we should talk first about what's actually like a terrain tile in our game. So we wanted to have good transitions between different terrain tiles or like terrain types. If you go from dirt to grass, you want to have like a beautiful transition, but it's difficult if each terrain tile is just grass and each terrain is dirt, because you have like a hard transition between both types. So what we found out and developed is that you can, instead of setting like the square, you set up the corners. So when we define a terrain tile, you select what kind of terrain type you want in the corner, and it will select the corresponding terrain tile for this group of corners. So in this example, if we say that each corner is a grass corner, the system will automatically select, okay, this is a full grass tile.
Okay, that makes sense. So with that, so if each corner correlates to the same element, it then creates that tile. So that's what we're seeing, right? Is that right?
Yes. So if it would be like all four dirt corners, it will spit out a dirt tile, etc. to any other method, or sorry, terrain type.
Awesome. Is this called the pizza method? CJ has put it in chat, and I don't know if that's a dev term or not, but that sounds pretty cool. I quite like it.
I've never heard about it, but it might be a good name for our system because we don't have a name for it.
There you go, CJ. Thank you. You've just helped name the feature or the system. Cool. Sorry, Nuno. I'll let you crack on.
This means that, yeah, so with different terrain corner combinations, you can do like these seamless transitions between tiles. For example, this grass to dirt. So if you select three corners that are dirt and one that is grass, you'll make this grass dirt transition. So in the end, how do we actually edit our maps? Is that we select corners on this terrain grids, and the system itself will automatically generate what it will be on the game. So this is an example. You select all these corners. There's almost a grass, but you didn't select some dirt corners in the middle. The game will generate the corresponding tiles here.
Got you. And to be clear, is this AI or is this just code?
This is just codes. This is just a rule-based system that we've developed. So it will just go through the options that you can have.
Mm-hmm.
On the technical side, we kind of hash all the tiles and create hashes for each
Mm-hmm.
corner combination, and it will select the correct tile based on the hash. This is for the more program-oriented people that are watching.
There'll be a few, trust me, because usually when we're in Discord, someone will ask a really complicated question, and as the community marketing person, it's like I do not know this answer. So that's why they probably appreciate that granular detail.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense. So when we're building our world, the terrain system that you've built, it allows us kind of flexibility of any new tile set, shall we call it that? So like we just put snow into the mountain map. So that would then allow you to do like snow, grass, dirt, and create really unique scene settings. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Something that this has some pros and cons for going for this approach. The biggest difficulty we've been having on the game is that every time we add a new tile set, we need to create transitions between every other tile set and the new tile set. But on the other hand, it makes all the transitions quite unique and beautiful between each style type.
Okay, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Awesome.
So yeah, we can like us to check this out in the editor. So we use Unity Editor for anyone who isn't aware, and this is uh, um, a testing map that I usually use to showcase things. So this window here is our map editor that we use inside the Unity
Mm-hmm.
to for designers and artists to be able to create the maps. So in here, for example, we have the terrain and our brush, and we can select the terrain type we want to draw. And in here, we're selecting the corners for the terrain grid that I described. So when you actually go and then try to inspect it in Unity, you'll see that what was actually drawn is this square, that is the dirt, out of these four corners that are now set as dirt. But it auto adjusts the rest of the terrain so it matches the transition correctly.
Okay, that makes sense. So with obviously the pizza slice system, obviously it's not like a perfect like kind of 4x4 inside one tile, is it? So how did we decide to make it almost so the grass looks like natural, if that makes sense? What's the ruling around that?
Uh, Unfortunately, I can't really answer that because that was the decision by artists.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
and I know they have different priorities on which terrain type should be more visible in comparison to another.
That makes
Grass,
sense.
for
That makes
example,
sense.
overlays on top of dirt.
Hmm.
So in most transitions, the grass will be showing more of the tile that the dirt will show.
That makes okay. That makes sense. Yeah, because in other words, it makes it look very visually pleasing. It's not just like a rectangle meeting another square or another like
Yes.
very sharp edges. So okay, that makes sense. So it's a layering system on the priorities of the tile itself. So dirt being one, then grass, then probably snow would come above grass and things
Mhm.
like that. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And of course, this will allow you to have a bit more complicated setups like this one, uh, which is basically a situation where you have grass here and grass here, but dirt going in between. And this wouldn't be able to be uh, visually well drawn in a system where we didn't have like this corner system.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, awesome.
Uh, yeah, so let's go back to our presentation. And this is a good moment if anyone has any questions.
I think I've been asking them as like as we've been kind of
Yeah.
doing it. So yeah, I'll probably continue doing the same thing. So if anyone does have any questions, I know this is like quite granular, but this is why I kind of wanted to ask Nuno to come up and explain like the level of depth it takes to makes the world seem alive, even starting on like the floor. We're really trying to do something unique here, and I believe we have with like yourself, Nuno, and people from like art and design in the team. So any other questions, I'll pop them up as we go along.
Hmm. Cool. So we can move on. Uh, so yeah, next I would like to talk about the decorations, so the things that you actually put on the terrain. Uh, and in the same way that the terrain has a grid, we also have an item grid, which kind of sits on top of the terrain grid.
Hmm.
And in this example, so we have some here free terrain tiles. Our terrain grids is 4 times smaller than the terrain grids. Sorry, our item grid is 4 times smaller than um, terrain grids. So in each terrain grids, there will be four item uh, tiles to put your item in. and each item kind of occupies a specific grid pattern. So in this example, this workbench occupies like a 2x2 square on the grids. So when you place the workbench on the grids, it will occupy this space and not allow any other item to occupy that space. And that's how you can see if items are colliding and make sure everything is not overlapping each other in our game.
Got you. So that's why it makes it almost like seem like real life. Like I can't put a workbench and a table on the same tiles because it just wouldn't work. So it'll collide, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
And we also want to give a bit of freedom to our artists to draw the item as they want it inside the constraints of the grids. So the item can be smaller or a bit larger than the actual occupation on the grids.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's up to the artist to decide how they want things to connect to each other.
Okay, that makes sense. So it allows, so they're not confined to like set parameters. Essentially, like there's the toolbox or the tile set, and as long as they can do what they want inside that tile set. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So let's check this out in action on editor. So we have here our tab that contains all the decorations that we can put in the game. But we'll search for our workbench. And in here, this blue box, if you can see it on the bottom of the workbench, represents the space that it actually occupies on the map.
Mm-hmm.
So when I place it, it will turn red because I'm not being able to place an item that's occupying the same grid space. But I can just place it next to each other, like this.
Awesome. Yeah, that makes sense.
So on this note, the challenge with Moonfrost is that we wanted to create a 2D looking game in a 3D space.
Mm-hmm.
So all our items and terrain is actually being rendered and on 3D space. So the occupation of the grid is actually 3D. So instead of visualizing that they occupy like squares, they actually occupy cubes.
Oh, okay. That there's the same parameters apply. So like the artist would get given a cube to fill, or would it be the artist would make the art first and then it would be the size that changes? Do you know what I mean? So, as in it like, that makes sense?
Yeah, from our pipeline, it's usually they have certain constraints, so they know that the item needs to fit into a shape that's like a cube shape or a variant of a cube.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So they'll try to fit the item in those multiples of the size. And so it looks a bit better when in conjunction of other items in the grids.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, I think we put a post about that a long time ago, which is about when we had to kind of make sure all our sizing is correct with like furniture, because there were some chairs that were smaller than other chairs, but they weren't meant to be actual that size difference. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, the shout out to Joe, our artist and animator and 3D artist, technical artist as well. That he wrote the guide for all the artists to follow what are the multiples of size they can use for items, as he said, and it makes our work easier because there's less back and forth between the engineers and artists saying, "Oh, your item doesn't really fit in our grids. Can you remake it, please?"
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And I think it's one of those, like I think when, like you said, when it was initially done, it wasn't in place, and ever since the guides created, I'm guessing it's like increased like content output, as in like you don't have, there's less iterations because you know
Yes.
exactly how to use it. So awesome. Shout out Joe. So and the pizza method, he did explain it. CJ was like, yeah, he was right. He just sent me a screenshot. So it's copyrighted by Joe. The pizza method described for the tiling.
Mm-hmm. And a side effect of this is that we can actually set up items so they can be positioned on top of each other. This allows us and the players to put, for example, mugs inside of the top of tables. And the way we do it is that when we're adding an item to the game, we first set how much space is occupied in the grids, and we say which faces of the block that you occupy are a place you can put items on. So on this table, for example, we say we can allow items on top of the table, but we don't allow items on the side of the table. And how it works in the game is that when you try to put a mug on top of the table, the mug itself has its own space occupies. In this case, it will be one block. So it just put a block on top of the 2 blocks that the table occupies.
That makes sense. And like on the right hand side here, so it's like red on green. So anything red you can kind of place things on, but like how many mugs could I fit on this table? Is that broken down into like another smaller grid, which is kind of mirrored but a lot granular?
No, in this case, this is a bit just illustrative. So the table size actually a bit bigger. So it would be like I think this is probably like 8 blocks by 16 blocks.
Okay.
And the mug is just a 1 by 1 block.
Got you. Okay, so you could do loads essentially. That's how we can. I know
Yes.
players have already done it already because we were very impressed through our last like alpha releases. The creativity of players. People were building like battleships essentially, massive hotel complex villages, and we tested it obviously, especially when we were testing before it went to the like alpha release stage, but I was just even more impressed when it got to players just essentially breaking the system, or even little things like making gnomes hover whilst holding things, which wasn't in the design, but they realized if they put a table down, then put a gnome down, then put a mug, and then remove the table, it looks like there's like a gnome hovering with a mug and stuff. So that's really cool. But it makes more sense now about like surface definitions and kind of how that works in the game. So we're really trying to lean into like player creativity. So anyone's home can be different with using this like tooling that you've built. So yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, it was amazing to see like all the creations that players did, and I'm personally really thankful and for the commitment that all the players did and the feedback that they give us.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I think one of the big things was it's almost like Minecraft. Some people just want to use the small little blocks and just like build something completely unique, which is really cool because we didn't think of that. Other people love the complexity of build mode itself, of like how the walls and windows work. I know we've still got some bug fixes to do and some quality of life improvements, but overall, it's been really exciting to watch how players use this feature.
Yeah, and hopefully we can keep improving it.
Yep.
So on this, actually, I wanted to show here in the editor some things. So just to exemplify the table thing. So yeah, we can put a table, and our system basically allows anything to be put on top. Whoa, is this a hiccup in the stream?
So good. That's why it's live. So behind the scenes. So it's
So ignore this table. This table maybe is broken, but as you can see on this table, we can just put any stuff in it, and we're quite liberal with our rules, so you can put anything on top of stuff that's been set up as something as a surface item. So you can put a pot on it, but usually there are situations where you can just put uh, you can just stack fridges if you want, or put like your fridge on top of the table, which personally I find it the the thing I have most fun on in Moonfrost.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder if there's. I don't know if there's this like. I know you can build stairs, but is there an item which is slanted, which you can kind of exploit by stacking it on other items to create like a ramp? I wonder if that would work. Players have
Uh,
probably already tried, but being fully honest. But
Not that I can think of at the top of my head, but probably. I'm not sure. I don't see why that wouldn't be possible.
okay, that's maybe a little small Easter egg. There'll be like some desk which is like wonky, and you can walk up it. Cool, cool.
And something to show here. So, uh, so I was discussing. So when a designer wants to set up an item on our game, they
Hmm.
usually uh, go here and have their item open. And we developed this our own item editor, where they are able to then tweak like how uh, this grid occupation for the item. Uh, I'm sure it's visible well on the stream, but if you can see like this blue box around the item, this kind of
Hmm.
represents like this grid box that the item occupies on the grids. And a designer can just go here and put it taller, put it shorter, uh, and if they want, we can also just set bounds automatically. And these are not always perfect, but this takes the model that is here and auto calculates the best fit for the item without bleeding outside of the grids.
Okay, that makes sense. So when we add like character interaction with furniture, where the red blocks are right now, that would be where the player would be able to sit in this logic, right? Because the blue blocks they can't.
Uh, yeah, so the bull blocks would be where they would intersect with the item, so
Yep.
don't want that. Uh, but the red spot is where the the player would sit, or we can also put items on the red spot.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah, that's good to know.
So you can put mugs on top of your chair if you want.
And then can you sit on the mug? But no, you wouldn't be able to because the logic of the mug would stop you sitting on that tile, wouldn't it? So okay, that's
Mm-hmm.
cool. That makes a lot more sense now. Like I said, I'm technical wise, I do not know hardly anything about game development. So this is really interesting to know how the features. It seems quite simple at first when you took in just about floor tiles, but every new layer which you add vertically or you change variations, it gets very, very granular.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's why the world looks so good, because it's so granular and we can change so much and make the players kind of feel like this world's alive, but also they then can change whatever they want with these features like you've been building. So this is really awesome.
Yeah, our inspiration for all of this has always been The Sims,
Hmm.
and with a sprinkle of Minecraft, uh, of just trying to maximize custom like player customization,
Hmm.
whilst trying to maintain a coherent art style. And it's always this balance of how much freedom you give to the player while not being just blocks and playing with Legos.
Which I do like doing, but no, yeah, to fit into Moonfrost, it's one of the things we. There needs to be some level of like quality control, essentially, to fit with the art style of the game and like how premium it feels. So that makes a lot of sense. Awesome.
So yeah, this is decorations. Then I would like to talk a bit about the buildings themselves. Uh, so when you're creating walls, they're actually made of like small wall tiles, and there's just wall pieces that connect to each other. In this example, we have just a small straight wall piece and some corner pieces, and these corner pieces can be joined together to create like the actual wall corner. And this is how we are able to allow you to paint individual wall sections. So if you go back here to the game and open the editor, so when I'm having this wall here, so we actually allow you to just paint a wall section individually, and this is how we do it. So each wall section is actually an individual wall piece, and we support every combination from corners to T sections to cross sections. This does mean that in the game we have a specific model for each wall piece combination. So this, can take that out. So for example, what connects to the cross section. This is what makes that corner, and etc. So we try to reuse as many pieces as we can, but in the end, you end up with a lot of like Lego-ish pieces that make up your walls.
Yeah, really, really bespoke. I think we wrote an article on this quite a while ago, and Joe helped in that as well. And it was at that time, it was a decision to how much creativity do we want the players to have? Because if it was built piece by piece, that's quite hard, especially for newcomers to kind of build their dream home. So that's why I think we went one of these methods, which essentially is you can build. It's a lot easier to use. So like you can drag and click the walls. You can decide kind of if you want windows here, there, doors, and instead of trying to build like each individual block by block. So that makes a lot more sense to how the system works and how it can be so creative, even with the drywall, which is a new feature. Or not, it's just an addition coming into early access for cheap walls because they're super expensive.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
this is my second favorite thing about Vim is that you can make drawings in your walls.
It's almost like putting putting some art up, but you can do it through the paint mode of build mode as well.
So a little more detail is that the wall tiles actually are a kind of special item in that they still occupy space on item grids. So they interact with other items as they were just any other item.
Hmm.
This means that we can set up their items to actually be surfaces. And this is how we enable you to put paintings on the wall and other items that are wall sticking.
Hmm.
And in the end, it all uses the same item grid system, which allows some flexibility on just it all ends up being the same codes.
That makes sense. Okay.
And finally, just talking a bit about the floor tiles. Uh, the floor tiles are our most simple system. They are tiles that we just put on top of the terrain tile. And they are simpler. They don't have the corner system. They're just a square you put on top of the terrain tile, and they behave the same way as terrain tiles. Uh, but with floor tiles, you can put them in any height and on top of each other. So you can create floors, and you could actually just create floating floors that I've seen some players do as well.
Yeah, no, they've made roofs already because obviously like that we haven't like perfected the
Yeah.
roof yet in dev. So players have been using stairs, they've been using floor tiles. So I think that's been going on for like over 6 to 8 months. Players have figured that out, so that's really really cool. We had one question from Mr. Tulum, which is, can all the items in Moonfrost be rotated, including floor tiles?
Not floor tiles. They are designed to look a specific way, so they don't rotate.
Hmm.
Uh, all the items, um, some items can rotate, some others cannot, and that is up to the artist to decide if the item is a rotatable item or not. On the technical side, we allow all items to be rotated, but sometimes an item is made for a specific purpose, so we don't want to show that item rotated or in the back face
Hmm.
or something else. So the answer is most items can be rotated. Some cannot.
Got you. So yeah, technically anything can be rotated, but from what we actually put into the game, from an art element, some items aren't meant to be. So that's yeah. Sorry for the kind of a mixed answer there. Technically, anything can be. However, in reality, only certain items can. I think most can though. So it's always like a good rule of thumb to, and you'll have that rotation kind of UI pop up when you've kind of got build mode and decoration mode up in Moonfrost. So that's really something to lean into. Um, Awesome. We've got how long we've got on floor tiles, Nuno? It's just like there's a few other pits I want to jump into, and we have got a few questions to cover for the AMA, so I was cautious of your time.
No, this is my last slides. There's some extra things I could show, but if we're out of time, how much time do we have, Jace?
You've probably got about 5 more minutes for kind of your section, and then I need to jump through from like project updates, so highlight the community of what's been going on. Sabaka, I think that was part of a joke saying, guys, who knows if this is going to be in the exam? So no, there's no exam. This is purely just letting you know kind of like the granular detail, like because I didn't know this either, how much work goes actually into developing a game, and this is just like one feature which may not seem important, but this touches every element of the game. So that's why I just wanted to bring Nuno on and kind of just go over it. So I'll let you crack on, Nuno. And yeah, you've got about three minutes to, then we'll go on to project updates.
Cool. So yeah, one last topic I want to talk about is that one big challenge we had with build modes is actually how the walls behave in terms of visibility. And initially, we thought we could just make the walls kind of just disappear like this. But the problem was that when you went inside a building, you couldn't see the back wall with items and paintings you put up, so it looks kind of not great. So we developed something we call like a front cut visibility cut, and this relies on you creating a room, which is in our definition is an enclosed space with walls, and this allows you then to just cut the front walls. And the reason we need to know that it's a room is that we need to separate which walls are the back walls and which walls are the front walls. That's why if you build something in the game that is not in a room, this will not work. Because we don't know if this is meant to be shown as a back wall or meant to be shown as a front wall. So if you're having issues with build mode and trying to make your walls close correctly, make sure you complete your rooms, like making close spaces.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. To be honest, I didn't even know that part, so that makes sense why there's no like occlusion. If you want to almost have like a fence, because we don't actually have fences player facing yet. So with a wall, it needs to have kind of connected to something else from to make a full room, which maybe a little bit of alpha there. You mentioned room utility. I know it's something being worked on. I don't want to jump into it now because we've got other updates to go into. But that is something that players could expect to see kind of later on in development. It's not just like four walls and randomly placed decorations in your home. They will become apparent with different things. So I won't jump any further there. So awesome, thank you, Nuno. I'm going to jump into kind of other project update points now. It's going to be like quite like rapid fire, and then we'll go into kind of the AMA section. So it's up to any questions can be asked in this. Any like everybody knows the drill already. So please ask them in Discord, in YouTube, on X, wherever you're watching. We're multi-streaming in a lot of places. Awesome. So I'll jump into updates first. So this one is pretty cool. So we haven't got full character customization in yet, but we were listening to your feedback, and you kind of said you wanted more than just two kind of characters to play as whilst we're kind of developing the game. So Jack is an NPC, but you will actually be able to play as Jack in early access on day one. So now you can use Ava, Kyong, or Jack. All three of those kind of characters that you're selecting to play as at the moment will eventually be NPCs in the game. So this just allows us for you to kind of pick which one you prefer, whilst we kind of build out a character customization, which is coming, but it's just not a kind of a feature we're building as of right now. We've got other ones which is being focused on. I really appreciate the questions coming in, Kiri and Mr. Zoom. I will get to those after I've just done the project updates. I want to get these out just before. So character. You will be able to select 3 characters to play as in Moonfrost for early access, which is really awesome. If you want to see the development process of Jack, Joe did some live streams of like how to go about essentially building a character in 3D in a pixel art 2D world, which is very, very cool. So I'll link that below. The next thing, so this was like a really, really requested, talked about feature. So on the last Road to Early Access, we actually presented to you frost benches. And there was loads of questions because it was the first kind of lean into the economy of Moonfrost, and especially to do with like the Web3 integration elements of Moonfrost. So quickly touching upon it, this is what a frost bench will look like in the game. Some like not verbatim. This isn't like a fully polished one. This is kind of one of the prototypes we're using, and you can probably start to guess what these frost benches actually do. They're not just the ones that you saw in previous alphas. They're going to be new to Moonfrost early access, but super, super important. We had a lot of questions about this in the FAQ element, or sorry, not FAQ, in the AMA element, of people saying like, how do I obtain them? Can I buy them? How many of each are there? So we can definitely jump into all of those towards the AMA part of this, but I just wanted to showcase kind of what it looks like at the moment in game in our develop branch. And yeah, I think it looks pretty cool personally. So awesome. Right. 2 more talking points, then into AMA. And then if anyone has any questions for us, please ask there. Even if they're like specific to Nuno, they can be like mega granular. That's why I'm really happy Nuno's jumped on. So feel free. Awesome. The next thing I want to talk about, so loads and loads of like kind of updates coming in, is Frost tools. So you just saw Frost benches, you've now got Frost tools. So like I said, with the Frost benches being revealed at first for the economy, you can kind of see where Frost tools are going as well. And it all leans into our economy design and progression of the game. So over the last like 4 months, so at the start of the year, we've been building and iterating the game. But previously, before that, we were working on a economy kind of overhaul. And this we spoke about, I think it was on like the first episode of this series, but essentially making sure Moonfrost's economy design is as good as it possibly can be. We've got it audited from third parties to make sure that Moonfrost isn't just a single player experience. There is element of multiplayer in it, and it will be getting bigger and bigger and bigger as we develop the game. So the Frost tools are, you can probably guess, they're probably one of the better types of tools. It's better than the stone tool, put it that way. But yeah, this is the axe, and we've done this for the majority of tool sets in Moonfrost. So super exciting. We've got a lot of questions coming up about these things, so that's that's really, really good. Awesome. And then finally, this is something completely new. So you've seen Frost work or Frost benches before. You've also seen Frost tools before, and it's not coming up on my screen. So let me try it again. Nuno, can you see what's on the screen, or is it my computer that's bugging out?
It's showing it on my screen, so I think you're good.
Okay, cool. It's not working on mine. So this is a charm. You may notice there is similarities with other things that we've put out for Moonfrost. One of the things we're going towards with Moonfrost Early Access, which will be, we're targeting release at the end of May. Last end of May, we did Alpha Release 2, which was a playtest from what you saw as players. But what we did after the playtest was a retrospective kind of play to mint experience, which you didn't even know about, which is really, really cool. So the frost or the charms are coming in. They link into the economy design, but they really add to the gameplay experience of this something we're going to be adding, which you haven't heard of or seen before in Moonfrost. And it does link into your progression, which is really, really important for kind of who you are as a frost hunter. And I'm really, really excited. So this is one of the charms Yeah, CJ, I think you saw this, not this image, but you saw kind of charms pop up on OpenLoop. So awesome. Sweet. So they're the main things I want to talk about for today, just because like there has been loads of stuff going on and a lot of like server optimization and making sure kind of the game's getting more and more like stable. We did a really big pass and integration, so there was a few little bugs. That's why we're not showing like direct gameplay today, but there's been a lot of progress going on behind the scenes. So outside of that, we're now jumping. So I'm back on schedule with the AMA part. So we're jump into yeah, CJ definitely saw it. We'll jump into the live questions first, and then we have got pre-asked questions from the community. So that's like people who can't afford or who can't even jump on these AMAs. At least they can find out the answers directly from us. So I'll start off with the live ones. So, Mr. Taloom, is there a date to play early access? So we haven't actually confirmed like the start date of early access itself yet. That's going to be revealed probably towards the end of this month, start next month. So you can expect it to be late May. But the date itself is quite special, and I will explain why that is when we get closer to it. So, Kiri, you said exactly the same. So, when to play. So, if you've signed up on the website, so moonfrost.io, we will then email you when it's ready to play. One thing is important to note is it won't just be public access as of day one for everybody. We're going to be phasing the release of Moonfrost. And if you want access, there'll be ways to kind of get that. But we want the community and the long-term supporters to be the first ones in to hopefully never wiping this player progression ever again. So we're in live service in early access as we build out the game with you. If we need to wipe, we'll obviously face that when we get there. We'll make sure items are secure, any purchases are secure, and things like that. So that's cool. Loads of questions going up now, so thanks everybody. Migs, Kura, you said, what happened to those Frost Hunter licenses when they're in OpenLoot? Yeah, so we announced OpenLoot, I think it was about a month ago now to 6 weeks ago. We've been working with them really closely as a partner and understanding what that means for kind of Web3 integration. So the majority of Web3 will happen through the OpenLoot ecosystem, but the Frost Hunter license at the moment is on ETH. So it isn't in the OpenLoot ecosystem itself. We're working with the team to decide kind of what's best for the future of the kind of Genesis NFT of Moonfrost, but everything will be optional to the people that hold them now. So we're not forcing you to do anything. And if we do want to kind of port things, we'll be running it by the holders first and also giving you plenty of time. So we're not forcing you to do anything you want. It's your kind of NFTs. You can do what you want with them. I wanted to ask, so Sabaka, I wanted to ask more about the wiki from Rick. He promised drop it this month. Yeah, so Rick has been working really hard on the wiki itself and on the white paper. So from a dev standpoint, we're almost like ready. But what we need to do now is just make sure the wiki itself is almost like player facing. At the moment, it's a lot of texts. And we want to make sure we've got some like infographics. We want a Web3 economy primer. So in other words, it's just really easy for a player to understand like everything to do with Moonfrost. And I know a lot of people are excited to dive into the wiki and the white paper and try and find out the best way to progress in the game, the fastest way to earn, how much you can. So yeah, as soon as it's ready, I'll let you know. But the next early access live stream will be in 2 weeks. So you can expect there'll be quite a lot of movement because that'll be towards the end of April. So I'll keep you updated on that. Migs, once the early access is back of the zombie grind. No. So what happens was we did AR2 and AR3, or mainly AR2 and AR3, and we did the leaderboards. And then players gave us feedback and they were like, it's just too repetitive on the same basic chore tasks. The leaderboards were going over for 24 hours. We designed it to try and be fair, to allow a 24-hour window, but then some people turned it into like a zombie grind. So that won't be the case with Moonfrost. So we've added in progression and also ways to slow kind of down your progression. So a casual player can play for an hour a day if they want to, if they've got a really busy life. If you want to play for 4 hours a day, you can do as well. but it won't be a zombie grind. And that's kind of, we've designed this to be a fun first game. Like that's what we've always built with Moonfrost. So hopefully that answers your question. Yeah, people are worried about the grinding. So, but no, yeah. So don't get me wrong. It's Moonfrost. This has been being built now for over like almost 3.5 years. So we need to make sure the progression actually fits with live service game models. So if you're expecting to complete Moonfrost in 3 days, that isn't going to happen at all. So what we're trying to do is create a live service game that is really fun and also offers like why we're trying to use Web3 is enhancing that player's experience. So if you really like min-maxing, if you like farming games, cozy games, and you also want the chance to kind of earn some rewards at the same time, you'll love jumping into the wiki and you'll love jumping into the game. So awesome. Sabaka, you've said world shards have an interesting system to give access with keys, which are not tradable. Can you redeem or give something? Do you have plans to do something similar? Yeah, so like OpenLoot is really, really interesting kind of ecosystem for us and partner. And one of those is kind of leaning on those. So when we announced our partnership, we've already jumped on calls with like the World Shards team, and I've spoken like directly with the kind of C-suites and Roman, and they've been really, really helpful for us. They've been really, really helpful for us with kind of understanding like player learnings and what worked and what hasn't worked. And one of those things was like rewarding community members with access was one of their biggest like wins because they were so happy to get players in. So when it comes to getting people into the game, like I said, it will be tiered. It won't be access to everyone straight away, but we will be looking at community members first, especially Frost and license holders, and then getting more and more people in. So if you do want to play Moonfrost and trying to be in like day one, where you can experience the game, get the most alpha, you'll also be helping us. But it will be very, very beneficial for you to get in early. Yeah. So similar plans, and you'll know all of this before the game is live. So we're just slowly about to turn all of those kind of elements on. Awesome. I had a question. There's one for you, Nuno, which is how long did it take you to build mode?
That's a complicated question because we've had so many features in for the game that the work wasn't like a straight in like a time. But I would say that it took us like a fair year to go from map creation to the walls and floor building and room detection and visibility and all the tweaks we've been having for the last few months.
Yeah. Okay. I think that makes sense because I was thinking when the question was asked at the same time, is it's not just a small feature. Like for example, farming. Once you've nailed farming, there's not really anything else unless you want to add like new things like attracting animals or pets or weather states. But like the build mode is everywhere, and new features means new logic that you may need to kind of change. So when we do livestocks, I don't know if that affects build mode and how does that work with placement and animals and zones and so yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Cool. I just want to jump on to the pre-asked questions now. If you do have any more questions, please put them in chat. We've got about 5 more minutes, but I just really, really want to make sure we tick off the questions asked from the community prior to the stream. So please tell me if I pronounced that wrong, REI, is asking about kind of shards and how they participated previously in alpha releases of Moonfrost. And they're wondering, is there going to be shards in the next release of Moonfrost? Yes. So shards is like a really, really unique kind of currency in Moonfrost. So it's a hybrid of like kind of an in-game currency, but also kind of the Web3 element for allowing us to essentially give rewards to players before we have the Frost token, which is the only token in Moonfrost, live and tradable. So any shards that you have earned via any events previously, if it was kind of the leaderboards, if it was house hunters, if it's been playing through Farm Royale, if it's through helping out in the community, because we've distributed some there as well, you will be able to use those in early access to do certain things, maybe get some special items which will increase your power. not necessarily power, but kind of how you want to play Moonfrost. But then that will also convert to Frost the token, so it won't be a one-to-one conversion, and more information will be on that will be provided as we progress. But it's very, very unique currency. It's very, very complex. So that's why with the wiki, we want to break all this down for you, so you can literally just read into everything as granular as you want to, and also offer a high-level overview. So it makes it really, really simple. Cool. Same question from Ray is there going to be a second collection? When do we mint it and how do we get it? So I did on the previous stream talk about the Frost benches. So they will be a variety of NFTs, but what we're not going to tell you right now is when that is, how to mint it, and what does it do in game. Like I said, all of this integrates into the economy design of Moonfrost. So if you can bear with me like another 2 weeks, I should be able to get all this information out to you. And I'm expecting probably another 100 odd questions come back to me, but it allows us as a team to prep all of this before we go into early access. So yeah, there will be other collections. It's not just the Frost Hunter license. So that was the most kind of like important one for us. And we, like I said at the start of this, we did this retrospectively. I think that's the right word to use. We did the playtest. We did not tell anyone what it was. Like, you were just playing for essentially fun. And then some people were grinding and really got into it and then wondered what it would be. But we broke down the people that played, like thousands of people. I think it was over 5,000 people played in AR2. And we then said, right, the top 100 would get a Frost Hunter license, and then different categories entered you into different things. So the more you played Moonfrost and the more you engaged, and we also gave it directly to people that had to play Moonfrost. So there was no like KOLs or influencers like directly given these. There was no like shills or partnerships. It was, if you played Moonfrost, you're eligible for one of the licenses, which did really, really well. And what we're going to be doing this time is not necessarily identically similar, but we do want to make sure we're rewarding the players that play Moonfrost. So hopefully you enjoy the game. If you find any bugs, let us know. It really, really helps for bug fixing. So, but yes, there will be another collection. You will find out all the information before it's live. We're not going to do this like surprise thing, so it won't be like tomorrow mint. That won't be how it is. We will give you all the information ahead of time. So then you can kind of read up about what it means, and how you can get these items, because it's more than just the Frost benches. I spoke about a few other ones already in this live stream, so you can watch and then find out. Cool. We've got 3 more minutes. So I'm going to do 2 more questions, one pre-asked, and then Sabaka, you've just jumped in another brilliant one. So I'll go on to that as well. So Jack Mars, you've asked for the price of the workbenches and when to start selling it. So just to reiterate, so we won't be the price. We haven't said the price of them yet. There is other ones being released at the same time. So everything in the white paper or the wiki will help you understand this. So please bear with me for 2 weeks, and I will try and get that out as soon as possible. The judge, you've asked, will you progress by focusing on expanding the map or filling the areas within it? How is the roadmap for this? So this one was a pre-asked question, and I think I needed to ask a bit more about kind of like how this one goes down. But I guess this might be one for you, Nuna, if you want to talk about it. In other words, I think they're asking, with the player map, are we thinking of expanding it so players can unlock new areas, or are we thinking like this is your map and then there's new maps to go to, and then they can do new things in those areas? So I don't know if you want that one, or I can try and answer it.
I think the current plan is the second thing. So players will be able to go to new maps instead of trying to expand the map you currently have, as that would complicate a bit on player customization, because if the player has already added to the map, it becomes complicated for us to make changes to your map. So we'd rather just add new maps that you can go into.
Yeah, no, I think that's one of the big things as well. What's one of the learnings we've had previously is like, if we need to change specific things on player maps, it gets really, really hard to do that. And that's what we don't want to do, because we don't want to data wipe. So essentially new maps are being created, and you can still do everything you want to do in your own homestead, but new areas to explore, new things to do with friends, leans into a little bit of the lore, which we haven't really like spoke on the narrative, which is super cool, which you will be experiencing some of that for early access as well. Cool. 2 more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. So it's been an hour already, so that was rapid. So Sabaka, and please let me know if I'm saying that wrong. I really, really want to learn. Will we have the ability to use shards in early access to boost craft time or something like that? So when we put out the Web3 economy primer, you will be able to see exactly how you can use shards. You're not just going to be stacking these shards up and they can't get used at all. So we've taken a look at a lot of MMOs and a lot of MMORPGs kind of economy designs to work out what's the best use for shards and also the earnable elements, so shards and frost in the game. So you will be able to use them for things in early access, which I will happily go into once we've got the wiki out. Migs, okay, final question. So the collections will be free, or do I need to pay? So no, not all of them will be free. So the way we're doing with Moonfrost is you will be able to get some of these for free by playing. But if you want to kind of progress faster, which if you were trying to optimize as a player for kind of progression in the game and you want to earn the maximum amount of the game, you will need to pay. And that's purely because we're trying to build a long-term sustainable game, and part of that is monetization. So we are essentially a free-to-play game to start off with. So we need to monetize somewhere, and we believe one of those is like progressions, items, speed of progression. So then we can continue to build out more fun gameplay features. That's why we did fishing. That's why we want to do livestock and pets and like even like bug catching. But this is where we want to work with you as the community. So each kind of milestone as we go forward, and hopefully we're going to have this roadmap out as well. That's secondary to the wiki, but it will allow us to align with what you want as players. So if you want, I don't know, if you want us to really focus on fishing and you want like a beach, you want a boat, you want something else over anything else, we can work on that with you. So to answer your question, the collections, you will be able to get some of them for free via playing if you're like a really, really dedicated player, or you can buy them, which will save you a lot of time. So yeah, so it's completely up to you. Awesome. I think we'll call it there. So that was really, really insightful. Thank you everyone for hanging around, and thank you especially to Nuno. You are my secret guest today, and I really appreciate your time to kind of explain build mode. And I'm really, really looking forward to when we're getting the next kind of iteration of build mode, and it's not going to be for early access release, but then when we've got roofs, so I can actually build my perfect dream home, which I'm really, really looking forward to, which I know a bit more about now. So thank you.
No, yeah, it was amazing. Thank you everyone for watching as well. I'm always grateful to see like the players actually making things with build modes. It's like my little child thing.
It's the creations are unreal. So what I've been doing as well. So if you jump on Moonfrost website, you can actually go to like the community creations tab or the fan creations tab, and we've started showcasing some in there. So you might actually be able to spot what you've built in previous alphas by going and jumping on there too. So that's awesome. Okay, Migs, I'll answer one last question as you asked politely. So open loot having a rent system, will Moonfrost be using this? Yes. So we will be utilizing a lot of open loop tooling. That was one of the reasons why we wanted to partner with them. They've got incredible kind of tooling on the back end, and they're also outside of just the tooling. It's a really, really cool partner to be with. So thank you everyone for coming along. Migs, Mr. Loom, Kiri, Sabaka, and everyone else who's there. GG mate, there's loads of people popping up. So we really appreciate it. And I will see you all again on the live stream in 2 weeks. We may have a different guest. I will hedge kind of idea that it's probably going to be a very, very important one if you want to talk Web3. So make sure you're there. But thank you very much, everyone. And thank you again, Nuno. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.